Hi everybody, this is Molly Frendo, your Anthropology 103 instructor, and this week we are going to be discussing linguistic diversity. Sociolinguistics investigates language in its social context, examining relationships between social and linguistic variation. For example, a sociolinguist may examine the variation in an individual's speech based on the social group and/or situation he or she is in. Think about the differences in how you speak in front of your family, in a business setting, with your friends, and at school. People regularly switch dialects between high and low versions of the same language. This phenomenon is known as dysglossia. We all vary our speech in different contexts. That is, we engage in style shifts. Some forms of speech may become stigmatized and associated with low rank. We've talked about different forms of relativism. For instance, cultural relativism is the idea that one culture should be judged by its own standards instead of being compared to another culture. Linguistic relativism is the same concept, but with language. Doctrine recognizes all known languages and dialects as effective means of communication. No one has ever shown the intrinsic superiority of any language or dialect over another, despite popular stereotypes. Research shows that men and women are socialized to have different speech behaviors. Women's speech tends to be more similar to what's considered quote-unquote standard English than men's. Women try to be more careful to use educated speech in order to compensate for gender-based socioeconomic barriers. On the other hand, men tend to use language that's less careful and more working class. Often this language is associated with labor and therefore is assumed to be more masculine. Women have a greater tendency to end a declarative sentence with the intonation of a question, which is called uptalking, which reflects greater linguistic insecurity. Men are socialized to share their thoughts in declarative ways, showing confidence in their opinions and ideas. Women are also socialized to respond apologetically more frequently than men. Men are socialized to focus less on relationship building when they communicate. Women use eye contact to build rapport and social connections with each other. The rise of the service economy may be helping to mainstream feminine styles of emphasizing affect, care, empathy, and sincerity. Physically, men and women are socialized to communicate body language differently. Men tend to physically take up more space by slouching or sprawling out. On the other hand, women are taught to sit like ladies by crossing their legs, keeping their gestures small, and taking up as little space as possible. Men and women also differ in their use of descriptive words. Men tend to use fewer adjectives than women. For instance, many men might look at this arrow above and say it was purple. On the other hand, a woman might say it was lavender, lilac, violet, plum, orchid, amethyst, or periwinkle, in addition to maybe calling it purple. This week's assignment will ask you to observe gender and communication habits in a public setting to see if you observe similar or different things on your own. Consider it a trial run for your final project. Language may play a deciding role in stratification and in symbolic domination. We use speech and evaluate the speech of others in the context of outside forces, social, political, and economic. Linguistic practices may be understood as symbolic capital that may be converted into social or economic capital. Valued dialects provide access to desired institutions in the labor market and are legitimized by formal institutions, like colleges or businesses. Even people who don't use a prestige dialect accept its symbolic domination. Linguistic forms take on the power of the groups and the relationships they symbolize. Research indicates that Americans can infer race and class from speech patterns, such as accents, grammar, and diction, and may use such information to discriminate. So-called proper English or standard English is a hot topic for discussion. While American English has variances in dialect according to region, Black English Vernacular, or BEV, or Ebonics, has been contested as a language separate from, but related to, Standard English. A national debate was spurred when the Oakland County, California School Board voted to recognize BEV as a separate language. The relationship between language and ethnicity, or race, has emerged mostly in the debate over Ebonics. Linguists view BEV as a dialect, and they trace its roots to Southern English rather than to Africa. Most linguists see nothing wrong with understanding BEV and respecting an individual's right to speak it, while also teaching standard English in the classroom. Most speech forms are learned within social networks, particularly from peers. Urban ghetto existence tends to isolate blacks from whites. Despite the use of standard English on the radio and on television, American dialect variance is actually growing, even among whites in different cities. Although BEV is diverging from standard English, the dialects are still close. Teachers in multi-ethnic classrooms should know about the phonology and grammar of both dialects if they're going to teach successfully. If learning and teaching standard English is an educational goal, school personnel need linguistic knowledge and sensitivity. There's an ongoing cultural debate about the acceptance of other languages and dialects in the United States. People insist that everyone should speak English exclusively, and many argue that materials created by the government should only be available in English. Knowledge of linguistic differences is important in a multicultural society whose population grows up speaking many languages and dialects. Awareness programs focusing on linguistics, cultural, and ethnic diversity require unusual sensitivity. In a diverse and multicultural society, citizens need to be sensitive and knowledgeable about linguistic and cultural differences. Here are 2 videos to consider as food for thought regarding linguistic diversity.
Well, a Chicago teacher is targeting bad grammar.
But his emphasis on targeting African Americans is causing a backlash. Some might be offended by his mission, but as our Mark Saxenmeyer tells us, this educator argues speaking correctly isn't about selling out. In his special report, he says it's about gaining clout.
Ask or ask. Woo! I need all of you right now on the count of 3 to say ask. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Ask. Very good.
Gerard McClendon is giving these high schoolers at Aquinas Academy in Palos Hills an English lesson they've never ever had.
The k sound comes at the end. The s sound comes in the middle. But what do people say? Ax. Yes. I say that. All right. But you know now.
But can ax really be wrong? They hear it all the time.
He asked me what could he do. A month before he asked to ring back.
I don't know how to say act.
Yes, you can. Say as.
As.
And put K on. There we go. Say
McClendon makes it clear. It's even the title of his book, Ax or Ask, the African American Guide to Better English.
The black community is losing countless children. Parents aren't correcting children. Teachers who are supposed to teach aren't correcting children. I've got a serious problem with that. How can a person call him or herself a professional educator if you're not willing to correct a person's grammar? Teach me, not learn me. It's not tests, it's tests. No such word as quit it. You quit.
For the kids, breaking the language barrier is a battle against society.
In the area I grew up in, we talk slang. We don't talk proper English at all.
The language isn't looked upon as being deviant or incorrect. So why should I correct a child that says ambulance or sandwich?
Of course, bad grammar crosses all races and classes and cultures.
It ain't yours anymore.
I had an amazing time with all of you 3 of you.
Me and her have a problem, okay?
No, I didn't do nothing to her car.
He don't treat her nice.
But McClendon insists
African American children are suffering the most. And I've gotten a lot of backlash.
The idea is to send our children on and ahead.
Bill Cosby has gotten similar criticism with his ongoing crusade for adult accountability.
We can stay in the projects, but they can't.
So make sure you pronounce the TH, all right? Because when you go out on job interviews, people are going to be looking at how you speak, all right?
Which is ultimately why the staff here at Aquinas invited McClendon to their school.
I want you to speak so that you can gain enough skill with the language so that you can be accepted professionally. This is what's accepted professionally.
Lessons for a lifetime.
If you say I ain't got no money, I don't have any money.
Why do you think no one's corrected you?
Because didn't nobody know what they sell.
How surprising is that? It's not, because again, it's the form of a subculture there, a subculture that just goes from one generation to another and just passing on poor language skills.
And nobody never told me the right word to say.
Until now.
People are losing out on opportunities every day because of the way they speak. I gotta do this.
Mark Saxenmeyer.
Thank you all so much. God bless you.
Fox News, Chicago.
McClendon has been teaching high school and college English for 15 years in the Chicago area. In addition to his book, he has New CD and DVD versions in stores and online. For more information, you can log on to our website at myfoxchicago.com and click on the Seen on TV section.
2 Cents with Kelly Ogle.
A mother up in Edmond has a problem with the Pledge of Allegiance, or at least the version of it her middle school-age son was required to learn. As a class assignment, the students had to learn the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish. One student's parents were appalled at the idea and took their complaint to Edmond School District officials who, after some consideration, allowed their son to complete a different assignment. Now, what I haven't mentioned is that this was an assignment for Spanish class. Doesn't seem to have been any sidestep toward forced multiculturalism or anything like that. You know, I have frequently stated my belief that the English language is the common thread that will keep this country from fragmenting into competing ethnic communities. And I am acutely aware when that common thread is being compromised. But I don't see it here. It looks like just a Spanish assignment to me. I don't see it as an erosion of our American traditions. I'm Kelly Ogle, and that's my 2 cents.
And if you want to give Kelly your 2 cents, click on